Have you ever heard of Quicksand? You probably have, since there are memes like this one. When I was a kid, I thought quicksand was going to be a much bigger problem. And see, that's because we usually don't have to deal with quicksand in life. In fact, watching this reporter try to sink in quicksand quickly made me think, that doesn't look as quick as I thought it would be. Enter my house, the house I introduced to you yesterday and the one I'm calling the SoCal Real Remodel. My goal is to walk you through the purchase, inspection, renovation, pricing, and renting out of this or a real remodel. Yesterday I first introduced you to it and why I was excited about it. Today, I start my inspections.
And quicksand ends up being a part of it.
Now to start off, I'm going to teach you something that you should memorize for the rest of your life. I call it the money pit scale. Now, in case you don't remember, I'm a 27-year-old real estate broker and investor. I don't partner on any deals and I control over $6 million in real estate. So I'm really familiar with this scale. Then we'll judge this house based on the money pit scale and we'll talk about quicksand related to this house and foundation. On the note of foundations, at the top of the money pit scale, you have foundation work. Foundation work is known for having the highest cost, putting it at the top of the money pit scale. But not only does foundation work generally cost the most money when it comes to real estate, it also tends to have the lowest return on your investment. So you can really see you're double screwed when you're high on the money pit scale. Hence, money pit.
Which one's scarier, this one or on the cliff?
This one's in worse shape.
Oh, great.
Now keep this in mind, there are a few things you want to watch for when it comes to quicksand and foundation issues. Septic systems, water ravines, low land, settling, slippage, and cracking. Just keep an eye out for those. And in the meantime, let's keep talking about the money pit. The money pit scale. Now the next worst thing on the money pit scale are illegal add-ons.
There's a footing that runs along this wall.
Like I said, this whole thing has been added on off the back.
Exactly.
Oh, this whole side's been added on?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So you need to check with the county, has this whole section been permitted?
Not only can repairing these be terribly expensive, but if you rent out a property with illegal add-ons and your tenants or your tenant's attorney finds out, you might end up getting sued for all of the rent that tenant paid because they rented an illegal home from you. Not only that, but oftentimes to permit illegal additions, you pretty much have to reconstruct the addition itself to prove that it was done correctly. Next on the money pit scale, you have sewer or septic issues. These can be money pits as well, but they're probably more just like poo pits. Especially since my sanitation guy who knows me had this to say about the house and septic.
Yeah, and listen to me.
Yeah.
Do not buy the house without inspecting that.
Okay.
I'm not saying that just because, it's what we do for a living and I've got the business. It's just, that could be a $30,000 oops.
I heard of a case down on the avenue back in the 80s where they were having a wedding reception in the backyard. They fell through. Like a lousy way to have your day.
You mean a pretty day?
Pretty day. I'm just saying, keep it simple, sweetheart.
So I should put another ADU here and one there.
Right on top of the septic.
Not as bad as foundation issues or illegal additions, but they're still expensive. Now, most people, when they think of real estate, they get the impression that, oh my gosh, what if the roof is bad?
But look at that roof, Billy!
That's gotta be the worst thing. Well, generally not. For example, a roof for a house like this one might only run $10,000 to $15,000, if that. And in this case, the roof is brand spanking new. Now this one's really hard to quantify, but let's say you have lot line issues with your neighbor, or you have some sort of boundary dispute, or you need to replace a fence on a lot, and you need to get surveyors involved.
This
Sliding
down on you.
Oh gosh.
Because look at it, look.
Ah.
You see, and the trees right here, if they're on your lot,
Eh.
that actually could help hold that hill.
Now, yet another thing that we regularly think of, but actually isn't such a terrible problem, are things related to the electrical system, plumbing system, or heating and air system. As terrible as old plumbing supply lines or old electrical systems sound, most of these systems can be updated for anywhere between $5,000 to $9,000. Obviously, this all depends on your location. This is based on Southern California math, and again, a basic 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Now, we'll get to Quicksand in just a moment, but on the money pit scale, cosmetics are going to be what give you the highest ROI. These are going to be things like paint, flooring, light fixtures, kitchens, bathrooms, handles, hardware, doors, moldings, and, well, pretty much anything that people can touch, see, and feel. This is really the place that investors want to spend their money. Now, you're probably already well aware that I share a ton of money-making knowledge with you in, for example, my real estate investing or sales courses with our private live streams, or my do-it-yourself property management course or finance course coming soon. Now, let's see how this house fares. Well, cosmetically, it's obviously stripped. And this actually kind of sucks for 2 reasons. 1, you can't get financing, and number 2, blank slates like this actually don't scare people as much as like a moldy house would. So I would almost rather have a house that was moldy and damaged and gross than a blank slate, because damaged and gross turns more people off than raw lumber. Now, the electrical and plumbing systems are pretty good here. In fact, the things are done very well. Obviously, there are some things missing, like the HVAC system or the water heater, but these are things we could easily price. So the cosmetics and electrical, plumbing, HVAC, these are really low risk for this deal, and they're things that I've come to terms with. Now, I didn't know if the property was on a propane tank, which I found out that this is not a mine to destroy submarines. Instead, it is a propane tank. And I don't really want a house with a propane tank, but fortunately, I did find this gas utility hookup. I also thought there was a risk that this property would be on well water, and fortunately, I found this. Now, this lot is pretty crazy and is going to contribute to a little bit of our quicksand issue. The lot is basically a ravine for water to flow through.
And on a heavy, heavy rain, you put a house here, you know what I mean?
It'll be fine.
Yeah. You have a big, like, diverter ditch around each side of it.
And I found that you could actually get a pretty inexpensive 20 by 20 2-car garage for somewhere around $15,000 from Tough Shed, prefabricated. All you have to do is pour a foundation.
For me.
Personally,
Yeah.
if I were you, I would look at what you're doing, like on your other properties, like and that,
And not this.
and look and you go, okay, I put this much effort in and I get this much back. You're up like 100 out of the gate, whereas this, seriously, Kevin, this
Yeah.
could be a 6-month to a 1-year project.
But the other ones are boring.
That's your problem.
Now, while initially I was really excited that I felt like I was the only person who knew that this property was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, despite being listed as a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, I kind of got to thinking that it's quite possible the county doesn't know that there's a 2nd bathroom either, which would also cause a permitting issue.
1552 square foot dwelling. 125 square feet of new windows, new sliding glass door, insulation, drywall, and an exterior stucco.
Okay.
I mean, that sounds
So
good.
that means that they've come through, and for them to approve that, they've approved the whole structure, it sounds like.
I mean, I hope so, because sometimes I worry that somebody just goes there and they tell the person, this is what I'm doing, and it's just somebody at the computer typing it in.
Were the permits, this is an actual permit though? Is it actually issued or
It's an open permit.
open?
So they paid the fee for it, basically.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they've been out here yet, right?
Right.
So you'd think if there was a violation there, there'd be a violation
Usually
here.
once they flag it, they
Look at
check
everything.
The whole thing, but you know, no guarantee.
I hate the no guarantees part. I may as well be buying stocks.
And then, Quicksand. So let's talk a little bit about Quicksand. And for that, we're going to go ahead and reference a YouTube channel, Minute Earth, and we're going to introduce a type of quicksand that affects houses, and it's known as liquefaction. Now, liquefaction usually occurs with earthquakes, but it can happen in areas with expansive soils as well, especially as that expansive soil gets wet, expands, contracts, expands, contracts. So I hired Colin to help me find out what's up with this house, and should I be worried because I know the house is basically in a ravine, I know there's a septic system, and there are these minor indications that there could possibly be some foundation issues. So Colin, the foundation pro, at first inspected the property using a water level and a tripod to measure sort of the increases or decreases in slope within the house.
This house is a trip.
Uh-oh, like literally we're gonna trip and fall because it's so crooked?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Oh, great.
He then looked to see what different kinds of foundations the property had, and he could easily see that there were 4 different additions, and he analyzed the actual concrete and realized a big problem.
Tip number 1, none of this concrete has steel in it, so none of it has rebar.
What?
So, and that just makes it, so like with the cracks you're seeing all over the place, I mean, some of them are so thick you can see through, so it makes.
How does it not have, what? Who does a foundation without rebar? Is it because it's just old?
Yeah, I mean, typically.
I mean, that's scary.
It wasn't until, I think 50s or 60s that was a requirement.
Whoa.
So yeah, that's a big part of it, and then the fact that there's almost every single wall has a big foundation crack that's visible just from the outside.
On the outside, okay.
Right where you're standing, that's where I had the tripod set up.
Yeah.
To this far wall, it's down 1.6 inches.
Is that a lot?
It is, yeah. If you're rule of thumb you'd like to see is no more than an inch or so. An inch is the mark. With an older house, maybe give it a little bit more leeway, but over a 20-foot span. Yeah. And this is like a 14-foot span. You got almost 1 3/4 inches.
Right.
So it's kind of going like that.
Great. Yeah.
It actually goes up roughly about 2 inches from that corner.
Uphill.
Uphill. So it's pretty gradual, but we're going up.
Okay.
After analyzing all of the different foundation issues related to this property,
This backside here, we got 1, 2, 3 big ones just in this span.
Oh, just 3.
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty significant.
Just 3 significant cracks in 14 feet.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
It looks like it's,
including a foundation made without rebar, without any metal, which is absolutely insane, mind-blowing that there is no metal, especially in an earthquake zone. I started getting really nervous, and I realized, oh my gosh, this house is built on expansive soils, it's basically in a water ravine, and it's got a septic leach field close by, and it kind of looks like the neighbors have janky water controls going on. And the neighbor aside from me not only looks like they're operating a vineyard, but they also look like they don't take care of the landscaping leading up to this particular property. I began to realize, wow, what's tearing this property apart is quicksand. And again, while we think of quicksand as quick, think back to that reporter in Quicksand. Quicksand is basically a meme way to say the sand and soil gets wet, expands and contracts, and over time completely destroys the foundation of a house. His recommendation to repair this property was not to take any kind of bandage approach.
I mean, is this strapping, or is this more, I mean, is this like, $500 in metal? or is this a lot more?
I mean, so if it was, seems like one on an either extreme kind of end. So there are so many cracks.
Yeah.
And the fact that knowing that there's no steel in it.
Yeah. It's just gonna crack more.
And it's just gonna crack more. The kind of Band-Aid approach would just be to fill and strap all these cracks so that those cracks themselves won't move anymore. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that it's not gonna crack anywhere else.
That you're not gonna get more cracks coming up, right?
Instead, he highly recommended a new foundation at a cost of just
easily a $80,000 plus repair.
100K to be safe, and that's including a new pour, like all the work, and then putting the house back and bolting it back down.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely can be done.
So it'd be better if this were a mobile home, because then there wouldn't be a foundation we'd have to worry about.
Yeah, you can just install it.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's at this point that I started realizing, oh my gosh, do I even want to continue to spend money inspecting this property if my entire budget just shifted by $100,000. Now, it's definitely something I'm going to be talking to the seller about, but in the meantime, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. And something that really drilled my nervousness home to me was as we were getting ready to leave, Colin said, "Hey, maybe we'll catch you on a normal one next time."
I'll tell you what, the value of a good inspection.
There you go.
One of these days, let's look at a normal one.
And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, every wedge deal I've ever bought has been a simple, normal, cosmetic fixer-upper, not a property that ranks pretty miserably on the money pit scale. Foundation issues, septic issues, unknown lot and permitting issues, unknown legalities around additions, and cosmetic issues. Well, there you have it. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram @MeKevin. Check out those courses, a link down below, and until next time.